Broadcast Center in Los Angeles. This is KCAL 9 News at 10.
It's something that people do all the time. I grew up doing it. A rock did tumble off and fall on top of him.
A dramatic rescue in Laguna Beach.
A teenage boy who was out exploring got pinned under a boulder, his arm partially amputated. Rescue crews rushed to Emerald Bay this afternoon, and then he was airlifted to a hospital.
KCAL 9 Orange County reporter Stacy Butler is live tonight at UCI Medical Center where the teen is now. Stacy.
Susie and Jeff, I'm told that the moment he landed here and was wheeled into the hospital, doctors were waiting for him, and he went immediately into surgery after surviving a harrowing climb on some rocks in Laguna Beach. Wheeled into the operating room at UCI Medical Center with a nearly severed right arm, this 15-year-old boy is lucky to be alive. Orange County Fire Authority crews tried desperately to get to the teen late this afternoon after they say he was climbing on the rocks along the beach in this gated community of Emerald Bay in Laguna Beach.
A boulder fell on him. Basically, his right arm took the brunt of it, partially amputating above his right elbow, that right arm. And basically, the way it landed had his leg stuck.
Luckily, his leg wasn't damaged. Firefighters say the teen has climbed the rocks with his friend before, but this time it nearly turned deadly. The area where the boulder fell on him was almost impossible for crews to get to. They couldn't carry heavy equipment to lift the rock off, so they carried extrication bags or airbags, able to lift 1,500 pounds each. It took 12 firefighters and lifeguards to pry the boulder off the teen.
They carried those out, inflated those, and used basically muscle to lift this cooler-sized boulder off the young man.
The 15-year-old was taken by helicopter to UCI Medical Center where he underwent surgery. Mac Chapel was on the beach nearby when it happened. He says climbing on the rocks is popular, but it's known to be dangerous.
You can walk and there's tide pools and stuff, but it's that initial maybe like 200 yards where you're climbing out, where it's a treacherous kind of rock climb.
Firefighters tell me the young man is expected to survive. In Orange, I'm Stacy Butler. Back to you guys in the studio.
Shots fired. Shots fired. Everybody stand by. Stand by.
LAPD facing off with a man they say was armed with an axe. The department just released this video of a deadly officer shooting in Pacoima as part of a new policy to increase transparency. KCAL 9's Peter Dowd is live in our newsroom at this hour to tell you exactly why police are saying they were forced to pull the trigger. Peter?
Yeah, Jeff, the video is pretty intense. Right now, the LAPD is still investigating the incident as witnesses come forward and toxicology tests are completed. But they released this body camera footage of the moments leading up to the deadly shooting, and we do want to warn you, it's graphic.
Just watch him while we figure out what's going on.
In this body cam footage provided and edited by the LAPD, you could see several officers respond to a reported stabbing at a home in Pacoima on May 30th. You can hear the sergeant placing officers and planning to approach the suspect, 29-year-old Brian Rodriguez, and take him into custody.
Hey, I can't hear you. You're going to have to walk out here with your hands up.
You can also hear the officers warn Rodriguez they will use a taser or beanbag shotgun, but he does not respond.
I'm giving you one more opportunity. Come out here with your hands up.
Officers keep their distance because they are still concerned Rodriguez is armed with a knife. After several minutes trying to communicate with him, officers move towards him and try to use a taser to take him into custody. But it has no effect on him. Officers repeatedly warn him.
You're gonna get tased if you don't listen.
And then they fire the taser. But Rodriguez still refuses to follow their orders, so they fire again.
Hit him with another one. Hit him with another one.
The officers then fire several beanbag rounds at him. But it has little effect. Rodriguez then grabs a potted plant and throws it at the officers, striking some of them in the head.
Get down to your knees. Hey, watch your chair.
Rodriguez then gets on the roof of the home, and officers quickly rescue the wounded victim inside. Moments later, officers say they see Rodriguez grab a pickaxe. He also throws bricks at them. Officers then deploy a 40-milliliter less lethal launcher, which fires a foam projectile that does not penetrate the skin. But Rodriguez still has the pickaxe. After several minutes, Rodriguez goes inside the home and officers lose sight of him. Officers say he later emerges with the pickaxe. They tell him to drop the axe, But instead, they say he moves towards them with the axe raised above his head. And that's when the officers shoot him.
Shots fired, shots fired.
Officers approach Rodriguez and move the axe away from him. They immediately call for an ambulance, but he dies at the scene. The stabbing victim was taken to the hospital where he was treated and later released. Officers recovered Rodriguez's knife from the scene, and they say he had a long criminal history, including robbery. The Civilian Board of Commissioners will also evaluate the evidence to determine if the officers met proper standards. In the newsroom, Peter Dowd, KCAL 9 News.
Okay, Peter, thank you. The driver who led officers on a 3-hour chase last night has been identified as 43-year-old Adele Quin-Torres. You saw it live right here on KCAL 9. The pursuit started in San Diego County around 7:30 p.m. Well, she drove up the 5 freeway into Orange County and through L.A. The chase ended in Santa Clarita after she ran over spike strips. Officers pulled her out of the car when she wouldn't come out on her own. Torres now faces misdemeanor evading and resisting arrest. And now to our wild weather. Lightning flashed across the sky as sudden downpour soaked spots in Southern California.
And this is how it looked and sounded in Hollywood.
It was just loud.
And from Santa Monica to Zuma Beach to Malibu, thunder, lightning, and heavy rain forced people to put their day at the beach on hold. LA County beaches actually issued evacuations after surprise thunderstorms created some dangerous conditions.
We were actually in the water when the thunder was we could hear the thunder, and the lifeguard came and told us to get out, so it was kind of scary.
And beaches reopened after a couple of hours. Let's go to conditions now. They remain calm for most parts of the Southland tonight as we take a live look outside.
Yeah, but thunderstorms are still in our forecast. Meteorologist Evelyn Taft joins us now with the details. Ev.
Hi, guys, and we're still looking at a little bit of moisture sitting offshore to our north, south, and our east. At the moment, conditions dry here at home, but a wild day, as we were just showing you, across the Southland, especially that large cell that moved across the San Gabriels into the basin and out to the Malibu coastline. So we could see it again. The chances there tomorrow through Friday. At the moment, again, it is calm, but it's usually that daytime heating that prompts the thunderstorms. So we have the combination of a little bit of moisture and the heat, and that's when we see that instability. And again, as a result, we see the thunderstorms. Just like we saw today, again, the chances there, Futurecast showing you mostly dry conditions at the moment, but that's not to say that we couldn't see a thunderstorm or a passing shower over the next couple of days with that monsoonal moisture that's continuing to stream in. So, of course, we'll continue to keep you posted on that. Plus, more about the heat and more heat ahead. I'll have your full forecast in just a bit. Back to you guys.
Okay, Evelyn, thank you. 4 lost hikers rescued by a helicopter in Granada Hills today. Los Angeles Fire Department found 3 children, 1 adult on Oat Mountain near Sunshine Canyon. They were then hoisted to safety, and all are safe tonight.
The reward has doubled tonight in the search for the person who shot and killed an Irvine doctor in Malibu Creek State Park on June 22nd. Tristan Beaudet was shot in the head while in a tent with his 2 young daughters. His murder brought out news of 7 other shootings around the park campgrounds in the past 2 years. The award being offered tonight is now up to $30,000. Investigators have not found, though, any links between the shootings.
I definitely think it's connected. It just seems too, unreasonable for it not to be.
And the campground at Malibu Creek State Park will remain closed until further notice. Getting around the Hollywood Bowl area can be a nightmare, especially when a big concert is letting out like tonight. Seal is in concert with his orchestra tonight. And for the people who live near the bowl, it's just tough to get out of the driveways. But now the city is trying to change all of that by shutting down some neighboring streets. KCAL 9's Crystal Cruz is live near the bowl tonight with the very latest on the story. Crystal?
Hi, Jeff. Some of these drivers, well, they might not like this plan, but some of these neighbors, they are liking it very much.
And look around, because people are saying hello, neighbors are saying hello to neighbors, we're petting each other's dogs.
A pooch party in the street would have never happened in the past during a show at the Hollywood Bowl because cars would have been driving up and down Camrose near Highland looking for parking.
It's quiet, which is super nice. Usually this entire street is totally backed up and you cannot even get in or out of this driveway.
The bull provided parking enforcement to block off Camrose and Milner. No one allowed in or out, not even residents who were asked to use back roads to come and go.
It's very inconvenient, to be honest with you, because right now I have to go all the way around to, all the way to the hills, go back.
What do you have to do right now?
I have to go back up, or I could try to talk my way through.
Go for it.
I'm gonna give it a shot.
Minutes later, the rideshare driver was back, denied.
They didn't let me through. They won't even let local traffic through. It's kind of messed up.
City leaders are testing the pilot program to see if these roadblocks help curb the amount of traffic in neighborhoods near the bull. So far, looks like it does.
I think it's great. It's an inconvenience for the neighbors, but honestly, sometimes inconvenience is the right thing.
And the pilot program will run through the end of the summer during the big shows at the Hollywood Bowl. I'm Crystal Cruz, live in Hollywood. Back to you guys in the studio.
Well, President Trump is now saying he blames Vladimir Putin for Russia and the meddling on the election.
Yeah, he made the comments during an exclusive interview with CBS News. And tonight, KCAL 9 political reporter Dave Bryan has the late details and reaction.
The president said he took a no-nonsense approach with Vladimir Putin when it came to Russian meddling. Well, we'll see what happens. It's different from what we've heard on other days. Every day now, President Trump seems to have a different story for how he approached the Russian president on the election meddling issue, after he seemed to say earlier in the day that he does not think the Russian meddling is still continuing now. He later told CBS that he accepts the analysis of his intelligence chief that it definitely is continuing.
Very strong on the fact that we can't have meddling, we can't have any of that now.
President Trump, in an exclusive interview with the CBS Evening News, describing what he says he told Vladimir Putin during their one-on-one meeting in Helsinki about Russian meddling in American elections.
I let him know we can't have this, we're not going to have it, and that's the way it's going to be.
And for the first time, the president told Evening News anchor Jeff Glor not that he does, but that he would hold Vladimir Putin personally responsible for that meddling.
Well, I would, because he's in charge of the country, just like I consider myself to be responsible for things that happen in this country. So certainly, as the leader of a country, you would have to hold him responsible, yes.
Glor asked the president about criticism from some in his own party that he wasn't tough enough on Putin during their summit news conference about Russian election meddling.
After Helsinki, Lindsey Graham said you showed weakness.
I totally disagree. I think I did great at the news conference. I think it was a strong news conference. You have people that said you should have gone up to him, you should have walked up and started screaming in his face. We're living in the real world, okay?
And in a familiar response, Trump told Glor that even after clarifying his misstatement at the Helsinki news conference, he still doesn't know what the national uproar was all about, except the lying, shady, unbalanced news media was to blame.
I don't know what the fuss is all about. I think we did extremely well, and I think the press makes up the fuss. Look, it's fake news, and people understand. I think the press largely makes up a lot of the fuss about a lot of things, and I'm not talking about one of it. I'm talking about everything. It's crazy. You do something that's positive, and they try and make it as negative as possible. The level of dishonesty in your profession is extremely high.
Now, the president also took aim at former intelligence, FBI, and political officials who have been critical of him. In answering a question from Jeff Glor, Mr. Trump said he was happy with the current leadership of U.S. intelligence, but blasted former officials like former CIA Director John Brennan, whom he called a total lowlife. Susie, back to you.
All right, Dave, thank you. Federal prosecutors say an alleged Russian spy offered sex in exchange for a job where she could influence U.S. policy. Maria Butina appeared in court today, where she was charged with failing to register as a foreign agent and conspiring to act as an agent of that foreign power. The 29-year-old came to the U.S. on a student visa. A prosecutor says she infiltrated the NRA and conservative organizations while trying to develop relationships with U.S. politicians. They say she also tried unsuccessfully to arrange a meeting between President Trump and Vladimir Putin.
All right, man, I got to put some handcuffs on you, okay?
Understand, but they're going to make it a big issue.
Newly released video shows adult film star Stormy Daniels' arrest in Ohio last week. Daniels, who claims that she had an affair with Trump, was arrested after an appearance at a strip club in Columbus. Police accused her of touching a customer at a sexually oriented business, which is against Ohio state law. And at the police station, Daniels had to lift up her shirt to show officers a tattoo.
Okay, just cover
The case was dropped, we're told, the next day. Her attorney believes the arrest was politically motivated.
We have breaking news right now, a house fire in Cypress Park.
Let's go to Sky 9 and Stu Mundell with the very latest. Stu?
LA City Fire arriving here on scene. They find a one-story single-family home with smoke and fire showing. It's happening out here at the 3400 block of North Figueroa. LA City Fire here on scene. This is one of those older homes up on a hillside. Not clear if there's anybody inside. Obviously, LA City Fire very concerned about that. Right now, though, the fire still continues to burn. LA City Fire here on scene. First units, they're going to be making entry into that house, making sure nobody's in there. And then, of course, they're going to be battling those flames as well. Live in Sky 9 over the Cypress Park area. I'm Stu Mundell. Back to you in the studio.
So, Stu, this appears to be on some sort of hill. Is that right? I see a little bit of an embankment there. Are these fire crews, I see the ladder, are they having to fight this in kind of an odd sort of a way as this is based up on a hillside?
This is an older home in the older part of Cypress Park. These homes are actually, as you said, elevated. You're correct, it's on a hillside. There's actually that retaining wall right there and stairs that take you down to Figueroa Boulevard. Very close to the heritage area out here in the Cypress Park area. This is also an older wooden building. That's going to be a concern for those firefighters. You can see they do have a ladder out there, and of course other firefighters pulling those hose lines up those stairways. They actually have units inside, or firefighters inside that house already. You can actually even see them there through that front window making entry into that house. The bulk of the fire in that front room's been knocked down. They're going to be checking for extensions up here in the attic. A lot of hot smoke coming out of there. LA City Fire, they cut these holes in the roof to ventilate those hot gases so they don't continue to burn or other things catch fire up there. That's the way they fight these fires out here. Right now, though, we haven't heard the words knockdown. This firefight definitely continues. Of course, we're concerned about life, as also is the LA City Fire. We haven't heard about any victims.
All right, Stu, we're going to keep you over this fire and bring you an update when we get a new update. In the meantime, check your bill. A popular top chef is leaving behind messages for dinner, and he's hoping it will start a discussion. KCAL 9's Chris Holmstrom joins us live from Whittier tonight with that story. Chris?
Susie, you know how people always tell you don't forget to read the fine print. Well, that's what the master chef here at the Nixon wants people to do, especially when it comes to their receipts.
I'm an extremely competitive person. I'm probably the worst loser. I get very upset and very mad.
You may know him from Top Chef, a fan favorite known for his personality.
He was the chef, and he did not cook, did not play.
Now Katsui Tanabe is the master chef of 6 restaurants across the country, including the Nixon Chops and Whiskey in Whittier.
How's everything?
Good, thank you.
Just like the show, he's making people talk again, this time because of receipts. At the bottom of each one, it says immigrants cooked your food and served you today. Hashtag, I took a risk.
This is not about politics. I don't know anything about politics. Tacos, I'm all over it.
A conversation that has become a theme for this half Mexican, half Japanese chef from Mexico.
Being an immigrant, I don't think it's a bad thing. And am I afraid of like a backlash? No, man, I came to this country with nothing. I have now everything. You know, it's not about being upset. It's not about being angry. It's about making a change and make people think like, you know what? We're better than this.
Here we have your baby iceberg.
Oh, wonderful.
Customers we spoke with say the message is a great reminder for everyone.
I think that's what the great thing about America is. We're all immigrants.
And Tanabe's hoping this message helps people realize that, especially during a time where the topic of immigration has taken over.
Face-to-face makes a huge difference. When you're in social media and you're talking to other people, you know, you feel protected. But in life, it's a whole different story.
And the restaurant is called the Nixon because President Richard Nixon went to Whittier College, so to the owners, it's a piece of the city's history. Reporting live from Uptown Whittier, I'm Chris Holmstrom, KCAL 9 News.
Chris, thank you. Well, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg tonight clarifying controversial comments that he made on Holocaust deniers. He said some deniers who post on Facebook aren't intentionally getting it wrong. During the interview with a tech website, he cited Holocaust denials as an example of misinformation that Facebook would allow to remain on the platform. Zuckerberg emailed the author of the article after his comments were criticized today to say that he got things wrong. He said, quote, "I personally find Holocaust denial deeply offensive, and I absolutely didn't intend to defend the intent of people who deny that."
Well, California is staying in one piece, at least for now. The state Supreme Court blocked a measure today that would split California into 3 separate states. As KCAL 9's Nicole Comstock reports, the court still had questions about the proposal, and so did some people we spoke with tonight.
The Golden State is no closer to becoming 3 Californias. The state Supreme Court has blocked the initiative from the November ballot. That proposal would have divided the state 3 ways: California, Northern California, and Southern California.
There's a lot of people that live here now, so maybe that would be a good idea.
People we spoke with in Riverside had different thoughts on the idea.
I think California's a blue state and they're all a bunch of crybabies. And if they just section themselves off more, they're just creating more conflict.
The state Supreme Court cited significant questions regarding the proposition's validity. The environmental nonprofit Planning and Conservation League has contended that cutting California into thirds would be a revision to the state constitution, that it would need support from 2/3 of the state legislature before going on the ballot. And some question why a billionaire venture capitalist is funding the measure.
Yeah, if it's not about helping the citizens of California and just about helping somebody make more money that already has a whole bunch of money, I think it's kind of pointless. Put that energy and effort into helping where the help is really needed. Like, you know, when you walk by and see a bunch of homeless people on the street.
Nicole Comstock, KCAL 9 News.
Well, the initiative could still appear on the ballot in the future if the court ultimately rules in its favor. Ahead, first it was kids eating Tide Pods, and now a new internet challenge has people jumping out of their cars. How a song inspired this dangerous craze.
I was going to say, that doesn't sound like a good idea. And talk about a night to remember. A woman says her date stole her car and then used it to go on a second date. Wait until you hear how she tracked him down.
A homeowner opens fires on a group of people trying to break into his home. So why is he the one that could possibly be facing charges? We'll explain.
Also, a woman falls hundreds of feet down a mountainside and could have died if it weren't for her best friend who stayed by her side. The story of their rescue coming up.
A U.S. Navy veteran who survived a terrifying fall says her faithful dog saved her life. 32-year-old Brittany Fintel was hiking Mount St. Helens when her dog Indy in Washington was with her. When she slipped on some ice, she fell 300 feet down a slope with some jagged rocks. Now, her dog went and found her, then stayed by her side for hours until other hikers found them and called for help.
He was like the first on the scene, and he like pretty much helped me so that I didn't go into shock and everything, like licked my face and, you know, my hand wounds and everything.
Way to go, Indy. Now, 7-year-old Indy is a trained PTSD service dog, and Brittany says she would have gone into shock without him comforting her. Well, since that accident, Indy has not left Brittany's hospital bed, as you saw there in that video, as she is now recovering from her injuries, including fractures of her pelvis and a spine fracture and a concussion as well. So we certainly wish her the best.
Yeah. A date gone terribly wrong for a Tennessee woman. Faith Pugh says Kelton Griffin, who she knew from high school, reached out to her out of the blue. Well, she agreed to a date, but when he picked her up Saturday, he didn't even bring his own car. So they took Pugh's black Volvo. Well, they made a stop at a gas station when he asked her to buy him a cigar. And next thing she knew, her car and Griffin were both gone. But then she received a surprising message from her god sister. Griffin had left to go out on a date with her.
He let her drive. So she drove him to the drive-in. He didn't even have any money. She actually paid their way to get in the drive-in just so I could get my car back.
Well, Pugh used the GPS tracking on her phone to find them at the drive-in. Griffin was arrested at the scene. The crazy coincidence, though. You never know who you're dating. Two-timing.
Gosh, that's where he needs to be, right there in jail.
Well, 2 years ago, by the way, Griffin was arrested for robbing a restaurant right after eating there. There you go.
All right.
Let's move on.
We're not making this stuff up, folks.
No,
not at all.
We're not.
Well, still ahead, a disturbing trend involving women and heart attacks.
Plus, dangerous dance moves, the new viral dance craze that has people risking their lives.
Plus, cracking down on milk that doesn't come from a cow. While the FDA could make new rules for your favorite drinks. Evelyn.
And we're getting a look outside right now from Sky 9. Beautiful this evening, dry, but some wild weather earlier today. We'll let you know what we can expect for the rest of the week and beyond ahead.
All right, Evelyn, and a giant statue of a bare-chested Jeff Goldblum pops up in a major city. The story behind this unique piece of art.
I think he was in his own right to do what he did.
A homeowner who confronted burglars trying to break into his home could face charges because one of the suspects ended up with a gunshot wound.
The burglary attempt happened in Yucaipa in the 33,000 block of Wallace Way, but the wounded suspect was found several blocks away behind a convenience store on 14th Street and Yucaipa Boulevard.
KCAL 9's Tina Patel live in Yucaipa tonight with more on this story. Tina?
Well, it took police a few days to connect that the shooting victim found here was connected to that home invasion a mile away, and that's why the homeowner could now be in trouble himself. A 16-year-old boy found Saturday evening behind a 7-Eleven with a gunshot wound to the stomach. Police say a man and woman had left him in the alley before taking off in their Ford Mustang. Tiffany Prushoff said the story caught her attention, not only because it was only a mile away, but because a week earlier, 3 people with similar descriptions had broken into her home.
My husband came home from work. He had been there at 12, came home from work at 4:30, and noticed that our back sliding glass door had been smashed through.
Her neighbors got video of the suspects knocking on her door, then jumping a fence to get into her backyard. Police now believe the 16-year-old was a suspect in a home invasion attempt on a neighboring street, and that he was shot by the homeowner as he was trying to get in through a back window.
In my head, it's like 99% probability that these are related incidents. The car is different, so it was not the Mustang that we saw in front of our house, but I mean, it's a block away, so very similar.
Prushoff doesn't know the 69-year-old who opened fire on the burglary suspects, but she says she understands why he did it.
If it was the right of the property owner to do that, then I'm sorry, but you broke in.
But police say when that homeowner reported the burglary, he didn't say that he had opened fire. So the district attorney could possibly file criminal charges against him. Prushoff doesn't want to second guess her neighbor.
I'm not a gun owner. I don't really know the gun laws on whether you needed to report that. I'm sure with all the outrage that he probably should have said something.
But what she really wants is for the other suspects involved in these crimes to get caught.
And hopefully that 16-year-old will rat out his friends. It's sad.
No arrests have been made at this point. That 16-year-old who we're told is from Desert Hot Springs is still in the hospital, but is in stable condition. Live in Yucaipa, Tina Patel, KCAL 9 News.
All right, Tina, thank you. The number of American women having heart attacks during pregnancy or shortly after delivery is on the rise. A new study looked at 55 million patients, and they found a 25% increase in heart attacks from 2002 to 2014. A heart attack risk was highest for pregnant women over 40. Doctors also say it's critical to know your risk factors such as high blood pressure, cholesterol, and diabetes, and don't ignore the warning signs like chest pains. The FDA is cracking down on alternative milk products now. Soy and almond drinks don't come from cows, so regulators may soon ask them to stop calling themselves milk. Milk producers have long called for such a crackdown after struggling with low prices and oversupply. The FDA commissioner says the agency, though, must first notify food makers of plans to change enforcement rules. He says that will happen in about a year.
Oh, check this out in tonight's 9 on Entertainment Report. It's the 25th anniversary of Jurassic Park, and they're celebrating in London with a 25-foot statue of an open-shirted Jeff Goldblum. They call it Jurassic Jeff. Look at him. Yeah, a streaming service called Now TV paid for it. It's right there near the Tower Bridge. You see in the background, but only for today. So don't go there tomorrow. Expect it because it's going to be gone.
I'm going to start calling you Jurassic Jeff.
Jurassic Jeff.
You're Jurassic
I could never do that.
Yes, you could.
No, I couldn't.
Don't sell yourself short.
Couldn't do that.
You can do it.
No, he's got the goods on that. So, well, a popular children's TV series is making a big return.
And a tribute to a beloved figure from the Duke and Duchess of Sussex.
KCAL 9's Chris Martinez has more in tonight's 9 on Entertainment.
I'll be right back. But Tommy, you're supposed to be in jail.
Tommy Pickles and the rest of the Rugrats are back. The popular 90s Nickelodeon cartoon about a group of imaginative toddlers is returning to TV in a brand new series and heading to the big screen in a live-action movie. The Rugrats movie arrives in theaters in 2020. No word yet on when the TV reboot will premiere. Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, paid tribute to Nelson Mandela at a London exhibit exhibit celebrating the South African leader. The exhibit, curated by the Apartheid Museum in Johannesburg, takes a look back at the life of the former political prisoner turned South African president. Mandela died at the age of 95 in 2013. He would have been 100 years old today.
Welcome to Madison Square Garden.
And Billy Joel plays his 100th career performance at Madison Square Garden tonight. It's the Piano Man's 54th show at the Garden since becoming the venue's first ever music franchise. He's played one show there every month since January 2014. That's your Eye on Entertainment.
Chris Martinez, KCAL 9 News.
Well, have you heard about the Shiggy Challenge? It's a dance, which is no big deal, but where it's being done sometimes is downright dangerous. Tonight, here's Les Trent.
Are these people nuts? They're hopping out of moving vehicles to dance as the car continues rolling forward. But this video is especially disturbing. Motorists putting their car into neutral and then jumping out to dance alongside. This woman even jumps onto the hood of the car. The dance is set to Drake's hit song, In My Feelings, and it's been dubbed the Shiggy Challenge after an Instagram star who first made the moves popular. But this extreme version of the Shiggy dance is very risky. We found videos of people getting injured while attempting the challenge. AAA's Robert Sinclair.
It's the last thing that we need right now because it is a serious distraction. Not only the danger of the passenger dancing outside in the vehicle while it's moving, but also you've got a driver that's totally distracted in making the video while the vehicle is moving. It takes just 2 seconds worth of distraction to double your crash risk.
Something to think about before jumping out of a moving vehicle just to dance.
Oh boy. And that was Les Trent reporting there. The original video behind the dance, by the way, craze, does not involve jumping out of cars.
It's enough to turn right there to see a couple of them just fall right on the concrete right there on the asphalt.
No. And the friends who are shooting this and condoning it, don't do that for your friends. Just say no.
And these kids these days, what are you thinking?
I know. What are they thinking, Evelyn?
And you know what Susie was just saying, like, it's a dance. It's not about, like, when did it turn into the car thing?
You don't have to do the car part. Just do the hearts and the
right. That's
the cute part.
You know,
right.
we did that. We did the dance and the hearts and the fun part.
Evelyn
but the other part was like
don't
kids these days.
That's right.
You know? All right, you guys. How about just like go to the pier instead and
there you go.
Take a walk
do it there.
and be safe, you know, and dance.
There's more news ahead tonight on CBS 2 News at 11.
No waiting for that. Pat Harvey joins us now. That preview, Pat.
Thank you so much, Jeff and Susie. Minutes away at 11 o'clock, a city worker trashing and totaling a truck he should never have been driving. It's a David Goldstein investigation. A disabled veteran's car damaged. The hit and run caught on camera running out of options. He calls two on your side. And what would you pay for a piece of TV history? The Brady Bunch house is now on the market. That's all ahead on CBS 2 News at 11. Susie and Jeff. Jeff, do you like the fried pickles and ranch?
Yeah, I'd give that a try. I love vinegar stuff. Yeah, I'll try that.
Ooh, that does sound good.
All right.
Thanks, Pat. Hey, it's time now to reveal tonight's secret code word. It's your chance to win a 6-pack of tickets to Knott's Berry Farm for Sunday, July 22nd. And tonight's secret code word is drop. You can enter drop online at cbsla.com/contest. And good luck to you.
Thank you so much for watching KCAL 9 News at 10.
Sports Central with Jill Arrington is coming up next. Good night.